Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing this fine Monday afternoon? I hope that you all enjoyed your weekend. I hope you all had a fantastic whatever it is that you was doing. It was nice and sunny here in Manchester on Saturday. Things suddenly changed over on Sunday as the afternoon started to absolutely piss it down. Thunder and lightning, the lot. We had it all over here in Manchester. But I apologise, I'm just burping up some red onion here from wolfing down my dinner. Yeah, we did actually get some gameplay over the weekend with some Fortnite action as well as some PGA action. You guys might not have been here for that. You guys might not have seen it, but me and Nietzsche, the fourth time of asking, ended up getting a dub. Now, I've revised the footage. I mean, this is a disclaimer. This isn't part of the video game news or anything like that. But small disclaimer, I will be putting a video out showing the evidence that he stole about 500 kills. I've already texted him this afternoon, calling him a massive piece of shit for making me look like an idiot. I mean, this is all taken in jest, but I did text him saying, you're a kill stealer. You know what I mean? I need to stamp my authority back onto this channel again because I can't have someone who comes in from playing PUBG just coming out and wiping it all up. So I'm stamping my authority. Nietzsche got the last hit. You see, there is some evidence to suggest it was me. And by evidence, it means that I am absolutely manipulating every single grain of footage that I have available to me to show that I got the last hit. Regardless of whether or not I did, I think the calls that I did put throughout the entire game I mean, if it wasn't for me, it'd have been dead and I'd have been going into the final circle, you know, all alone, lone warrior, and I would have come away with a dub anyway. But, you know, I rezzed him, I brought him through, and he was putting down some nice cover fire. Like, I don't know if he's in the chat now, but he might not be able to defend himself. Photoshop, I mean, the tools that I have available to me are irrelevant at this moment in time because the facts are there-ish without manipulating them to suggest that it was me that got the last hit and it wasn't him and he didn't get the 9 kills or 8 kills to my 1 kill despite doing 1600 damage. I'm not having it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not having it. Was great calls to be fair, says Phony. I mean, do you know what I mean? That's the kind of... I am the healer of the group. Regardless of what game I play, I am the healer of the group. And that's what I did. I brought him back from the dead to try and get the dub. And that's essentially what ended up happening. So, yes, again, we will be playing some more games on Sunday. I mean, my usual spot was 9 a.m. on a Sunday. I think I'm going to push that back. And we're going to have some... we're going to push it back to like 7 p.m. on Sunday evening instead, just so it gives the opportunity for you guys, whether or not you want to be able to play the game or any game to be exact. I'm not precious about which one it is that we're gonna want to play, but yeah, it gives you guys the opportunity to be able to want to jump in as well. My family in the afternoon into the early evening, but Sunday evening we're usually back in the boys, but in Bath the boy, he gets put into bed, and then we just end up watching TV anyway. So I'd rather spend the full day with him, from him waking up till the time that he goes to bed, and then obviously we can jump onto some video games, regardless of what it might be, whether or not it's PGA, whether or not it's some Fortnite, stuff like that. So you're going to continue to see some more of that stuff in the coming weeks, especially in the evening time, just to be able to try and give the channel some more variety again. Graham is back. Unfortunately, at the moment, he's not feeling too good, so he isn't on the scoop today. He may well be back on Wednesday. He may well be back on Saturday again, but not necessarily too sure when that might be. So you will see him. You will see him knocking about. You may even see him in chat. There you go. Plus 9 a.m. on Sunday is criminal. When you have an 18-month-old, take three hours off of that. That's usually when I'm up. It might even be R5. It was 5 to 6 this morning actually, which is quite nice because that's a lion for Joseph. But yeah, I'm usually up anyway. So the time for you guys, I stream for me, not for you guys to watch me, but for me to be able to play some games on the internet. Did no one ever tell you that? Did nobody ever tell you that? But anyway, yeah, I do it for me, not for you guys. Obviously, I'm not bringing you some form of entertainment. It just so happens that I've got a microphone and a camera being pointed at me when I'm playing these games. But yeah, we will be back this weekend on Sunday evening around about 7 p.m. Not necessarily sure what game it is that we're going to be playing yet. It could be some more PGA action. It could be some ranked duos PGA action. It could well be some more Fortnite or some WWE. Who knows? It depends whatever I'm feeling towards that time anyway. But yes, as mentioned very briefly, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast. Even if we do say so ourselves, it's our job to be able to bring you the news, whether or not it's breaking, whether or not it's pre-existing, whether or not it's one that has just been massive over the weekend or late last week, and we haven't been able to talk about it yet, but we put all of that together, smash it, and then give it you in a nice little podcast form. Today's show is probably going to be about half an hour, 40 minutes, based off of it's just me. There isn't that much news out there, so I've kind of been picking through some things. Obviously, with how many showcases have been taking part over the last 10 days, when we've covered them, the news kind of doesn't move forward all that much, because obviously the big information that people would usually be talking about in the rumor mill, it's already been confirmed because the showcases have taken place. So the news isn't that strong at the moment. It probably will start to pick up towards the end of the week again. So we will start to be able to, rather than giving you some bite-sized episodes of the Scoop, we'll be able to give you your hour or hour and a half, which is obviously what you've come to expect from this podcast. But if you have found this podcast, fantastic. Congratulations. You found us on one of our many services, which include Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon Music, as well as our on-demand services where you get to see our lovely faces over on YouTube or on Twitch after the show has concluded. You can find that each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. ish. It has been a hell of a day over at Jelly HQ so far. We have had 4 meetings so far today. It's been a bit chaotic, which is obviously why you are getting the news so late in the day. We wouldn't usually be giving you the news this late in the day, but work comes first, so we have to make sure that all goes out, and then we can give you whatever show that we're able to. I didn't want to not give you one today. I wanted to be able to give you a show in some form or another, even if it's for half an hour. But yeah, that's essentially what we're going to do now. So we had Phony in straight off the bat. We had Lake in straight off the bat. Tito coming in, ruining the day with the chatbot stuff. I did actually put the chatbot on, but it seemed to have crashed as we went live, so I had to reopen it again, which is why the exclamation mark fart was in the chat twice, because the first one came back to life as the second one was loading. Sod's law or no, but at least it was working. Phony says, was great calls, to be fair. If only Skyrim was co-op. Mate, it is, but you have to have a super modded PC to be able to play it. I don't have one of those. I have a PC that barely works at this moment in time. I need a new CPU. I'm going to, at some point or another, speak to someone who knows something about PCs and upgrade my motherboard and my CPU. Some point down the line when I come into some form of money. Lake says, feel better soon, G. G is in the chat, and he says, plus, as mentioned before, at 9 a.m. on a Sunday is criminal. Lake says, when I returned from New York, I was ill as fuck for a week. I think that's exactly what it is, though. It's a city that never sleeps, because no one can sleep, because they are just constantly blasting horns, and they're just, I've been to New York. I tell I have been to New York. It was a layover for about 3 hours before going to Las Vegas. That's as close as I've come to the Big Apple. So yeah, you know what I mean? Graham says City are not the only ones getting a treble, says Funny Asteroids. After be changing your name to Groove It soon, G, like it's kind of normal show. I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, that's where the ish comes from, right? Because we just go live as and when we can. We aim for 10 o'clock, but realistically, that isn't the case. It's just more of our shtick at this moment in time. City can suck it, says Lake. I'm not having that. Get him out of here. Ban him. I never want him back in here again. I don't care how many times he has subbed to this channel. That is slanderous, and I am not having it on this channel. But what are we sucking? Don't clip that. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we've got a couple of news stories for you today. The fact that Google, yes, the guys who made Stadia, that died on its ass about 3 months after it came out and never really recovered, are getting back into the video game realm. That is our main story for today. We do have some news about Bethesda Twitter account stating that Starfield's physical version won't include a disc. Not necessarily sure why that is the case. And if we've got time, we'll move on to some Elder Scrolls news, because why the hell not? Because at this moment in time, anything Elder Scrolls related that comes out, we're covering, right? We're 5 years away from the fact that we are going to be getting a new Elder Scrolls 6 game. So be prepared, strap yourselves in. We will be going through all of those news articles today. So going full circle back to the main body of the show. Let's get into it. Written by Jordan Midler over at VGC states that Google is reportedly testing a product to play games via YouTube. You see a little bit of clickbait going on there. I mean, technically they are trying to get back into it again, but anyway. Google's last gaming project Stadia shut down in January of 2023. So moving into the main body of the article then, Google is reportedly testing a product that will allow players to play games via YouTube. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, cited an internal email sent to employees at a parent company, Google. The new product, which is called Playables, gives users the chance to play games on mobile devices or desktop computers via the video streaming platform. That is my Slack. Give me one moment before you guys start going ballistic thinking that your Slack is going on a Madden. I've just closed it now. You won't hopefully hear any more notifications from that. This is the latest foray into video games from Google, following the Google Stadia, a cloud-based platform that allows players to stream their library inside Chrome, as well as on a Chromecast and other similar devices. It's currently unclear if Playables will harness the same technology used as Stadia, and it's also unclear if the scope for Playables will go beyond the basic titles at this stage. Google had previously attempted to reuse the Stadia technology by offering it to third parties, such as Fitness Against Peloton, and to other glamified versions of their workouts via its cloud, but that now has been shut down. Announcing the Stadia closure plans in September 2022, Platform General Manager Phil Harrison admitted that the service hadn't gained the traction with users that Google had expected following its November 2019 launch. Jesus, as if it was that long ago. Blimey. A few years ago, we also launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia, and while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected, so we made the difficult decision to begin winding down Stadia streaming services. So, as we all know, Google Stadia was an instant success and went on to be the leading way of playing your video games. Obviously, that wasn't the case. It was the wrong people in the wrong place at the wrong time, giving the wrong marketing messages, because Google Stadia had all the things available to them to be able to try and make that service a success. Unfortunately, as explained before, I feel, and I think this is echoed probably across most of the video game world, that it was the wrong people marketing at the wrong time, choosing the wrong buzzwords or promoting the wrong services for you guys to be able to try and invest, regardless of whether or not it's time or money, into their service from the foundation level. It wasn't adhered to, it wasn't implemented very well, and unfortunately, it died, I think, about 6 or 7 months after it launched. They tried to cover some ground with the likes of Cyberpunk being released, and like, if you wanted to play Cyberpunk, which genuinely, and I mean this, was the best way of being able to play that game, Cyberpunk, was on the Google Stadia, because you was using an infrastructure that was built for handling massive games like that. Like, unless you had a high-spec PC, the base PlayStation 4 couldn't play that game. The PlayStation 5, it was still a laggy, framey mess. Unless you had a mega PC, you wasn't getting the experience that you was told that you was going to get. So, having that service being rendered somewhere and then being beamed to your house, providing you had an internet that was fast enough to be able to do so, was probably, if not the best way of being able to play the Cyberpunk game. You bought a copy of Cyberpunk for £50, you got a controller and the Chromecast Ultra for free, which was an unbelievable deal. The controller itself, I think, was about 60 quid. The Chromecast Ultras are probably the same price. So essentially, you've saved yourself 80 quid, 70, 80 quid, and jobs are good, and you're able to play one of the most anticipated games of the last decade, albeit to varying results. So they did try to claw some ground back with it. But the likes of being able to play games via YouTube, I feel like this is definitely the kind of Amazon app that you can get on your PC or on your mobile phone, where if you are a Twitch subscriber, for instance, if you are a Amazon Prime subscriber, you can go onto Twitch, claim your free games, download the Amazon launcher, and you have all the games ready to be able to play. I imagine it's going to be something similar to that, because I don't know how they're going to have some form of area where you can log in to be able to play games, because it just sounds like they're going to be playing Flash games otherwise, right? I don't know how they're going to do it. It sounds bizarre to me that they're using a service like YouTube, obviously YouTube being the behemoth that it is, with the name that it carries. Having your gaming service attributed to YouTube sounds super interesting. I don't think the execution is going to be any better than what we got with Stadia. I'm not holding high hopes. I'm very interested to see how the mechanics of this service is going to work going forward, and how whether or not your Twitch, your Amazon or whatever it might be. I don't know. Have Amazon? Might sound like a stupid question here, but have Amazon got any stakes in Google? I genuinely have no idea. They could do. Um, but how are you going to be able to play games over on YouTube without like a YouTube Premium account or something like that? Which I'm guessing is what they're going to try and flog with it. It's going to be very interesting as to what the technology is going to have access to. And so looking back through the chat then, Graham says, uncalled for, what do you think it meant? Is my third time with the Rona, phony asteroid, to phony asteroid. And they're mentioning City G, not the not the Rona. Moffsay, Mr. 12 Ed himself. Tito says, G brought the t-shirt that says, I went to New York and came back came back with COVID. G says, and the belly I'd lost before going. I mean, to be perfectly honest, if you're going on holiday and you're not just eating your own weight, are you even on holiday at this moment in time? Like, that's par for the course, right? Little golf joke for you there. Sure that is the case. I mean, it wasn't all inclusive as far as I'm aware that what G went on. I think this cruise might have been, but if it is, then obviously you're going back up there for breakfast. You're having breakfast, second breakfast, snack, dinner snack, snack before tea, second tea, supper. Right? That's at least 9 times in the day that you're eating. And then that doesn't take into consideration all the alcohol, slushies, poolside food, ice lollies, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. That's like you're eating 13 times a day. That is why you're on holiday. Right? Anyway. I wonder why the pool fix had stopped. All the food pics are still there. I went onto a cruise with 24-hour all-inclusive drinks. There you go. The biggest issue are YouTube needs to overhaul their interface. I don't think it will be a terrible platform, but it's designed for video consumption only. That was, I think, one of the biggest downfalls when YouTube gaming was a thing, because there was not really a place on there. The discoverability on YouTube for live content, even now, live content as a whole is so difficult to be able to find. So, for instance, I follow Dr. Disrespect. I'm subscribed to him over on YouTube, not monetarily, but as a consumer of his videos. So when he goes live, I get a notification on my phone that comes through saying he's just gone live. And also when I go into the app on my TV in the front room, it'll be the first panel there because I've subscribed to his channel and it's right there. I don't know whether or not if I subscribe to like 7 or 8 other people, which I have done, things like Shroud, the likes of Tim the Tapman, whoever it might be, all of those panels don't come up live. It's just the docs. And I don't know whether or not it's because I watch him quite a lot of the time. So he's just in the algorithm. He's always there at the top whenever he does go live. I'm not too sure. I don't know how it works. But discoverability on there is worse than Twitch's, in my opinion. The YouTube gaming app, the YouTube gaming website was definitely a step in the right direction. However, poorly implemented again. I think that's why people have started to move over to Kick, because there isn't as many people over there at this moment in time. So chance of being discovered and having your channel go towards the top. Like Fortnite last night, for instance, when we were playing PGA, I was in the first row. You could see that I was playing PGA. If you wanted to watch this channel play some PGA action, I would have been in the top row. You would have had the choice of me and 4 others potentially, and then everybody else underneath that would have had lower viewers. However, when I switched over to Fortnite and they had 99,000 people watching, I would have been so far down that pecking order that you would never have found me unless you was a follower of this channel. So I don't know how any platform finds the balance in between that for discoverability, new content, people who you always watch, and then these are our featured streamers. I don't know how that balance comes in. I'm not someone who can work with it, any kind of algorithm to give you a decent enough answer. But yeah, discoverability on YouTube was at an all-time low, in my opinion, and I still think it is. People are going over to YouTube to watch video content that's already been pre-recorded, edited up, put down as a documentary or just a music video, whatever the fuck it might be. People are there to watch video on demand, not really live content. So I think all platforms have that problem, barring Twitch, but Twitch has its own problems to be able to deal with. God forbid, we've covered them many times on this channel before. So yeah, they've got a long way to learn. All the other platform services also have their own things to be able to learn to try and make the user experience the best it can be. But that doesn't just go for video content. That doesn't just go for streaming. Every single thing that you consume media off, whether or not it might be a Kindle, whether or not it might be Amazon Prime, whether or not it's Netflix, like all of these companies will have the best or best in class people, looking at algorithms, looking at user interfaces and how people consume their products. Like, how far do they scroll down before finding the thing that they want? Do they use specific categories to be able to find what they want? Do they just use the search engine to find something that they want to watch? Particular genre, maybe. Like, UI itself is just such a convoluted mess of things that you don't necessarily sometimes know what it is that you want to watch. Like, how many times have you guys loaded up Twitch? Like, today, for instance, you might have got a notification that we've gone live. It might have been Ice Cream Outlaws has tagged you in their stream or something like that we've had as a title forever. You might have come through that way. You might have been on Twitch when you got the notification in the top right-hand corner that we've gone live. You may have just been on Twitch and saw our name down the left-hand side. Or if you are brand new around here, for whatever reason, this stream has been recommended to you guys. The biggest brains in the world would have been able to try and put those algorithms together to try and either boost this stream because we've been live consecutively or something, or we're just the flavor of the month. Ice cream joke in there for you. So to try and find people's habits is such an expensive piece of software that you could potentially sell if you've cracked it. And I don't think there is anything in this world digitally that I think they have the best user interface. Feel free to let me know in the chat for you guys that have used technology services and you think they've smashed it with the UI. Yeah, it's the best piece of technology that we have got our hands on. I can't think of anything now, user interface wise, that I think they've absolutely nailed it. Feel free to let me know if you have. Tito also says live streaming and gaming is horrible. I need to try the new Subway series of all sandwich. Don't get me started on that. I've been waiting for a Subway sandwich in forever. So yeah, we need to compare notes for anyone else that is doing. Tito says, 12 says don't bother. Tito says that good. 12 says shit. Tito says, but it looks so good in the advert. Ads wouldn't lie to me. Josie Garrett says format October. I did see something about that for the Halloween thing today. Not sure. Anything will be better than that format. That's gacked, innit? Yeah, it's gacked. Okay, yeah. It's because you've got a different name on here, innit? But yeah. Josie Cario. Okay, yeah. I just realised now when I'm reading it back. Yeah, it's gacked. Tickets were £7,000 each. I heard there was a competitor to Jellyfest. Oh yeah, I mean yeah, Jellyfest. Oh, Jellyfest would be amazing, wouldn't it? Jellyfest. we need to pattern that like right now, Graham. Anything would be better than format. For me. The fact that we went over to the bar over the road. I don't like shit talking things or anything like that, but I do think it was probably oversold. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking before I get in trouble with that. Is Gact unable to change until 33 days? Are you changing it back or are you just keeping it as that? But anyway, Josie Garrup says G. Garrup. Oh, yeah, it's RP Josie Garrow. Okay. Yeah, that's what you need to change it to, or just keep it like that. Nope, it's Josie's group now. Yeah, Gact is coming back. Okay. Why did you change it in the first place? Because you actually thought that your Grand Theft Auto stuff would be the permanent thing on your channel, so that's what you rebranded it. If that's the case, then obviously that was the direction that you was heading in. Yeah, but I love the Gact stuff basically because that's how I knew you. So when people change their names on here, I have no idea who they are, obviously. But yeah, no worries, Gact. Appreciate that, mate. But anyway, we have got some more news stories to be able to go through today. So I suggest that we move on to them before we run out of time. Got too deep into GTA, went to Turkey, and it all went to shit. Okay, fair enough. Did your character die? I think I might have been in one of your streams last week where your character died, so you have to start again. That would annoy me. But anyway, written on Eurogamer by our friend Vikki Blake. She says that Bethesda's Twitter account stated that Starfield's physical version won't include a disc. All physical editions include code for the chosen platform. Now, if there is anything that's going to boil my piss more today, I will be very surprised because this is taking the #1 spot. So, a Bethesda Twitter account has stated that Starfield's physical editions will not include a disc, although this message has now been removed. The tweet posted by Bethesda support earlier today stated that all physical editions include a code for the chosen platform and that there will be no physical discs. The message has since been deleted but is still available to view via the Wayback Machine. A screenshot has also been provided below. And as you can see, for those of you that are watching live or on on-demand services, The tweet has been embedded below with the information that I have literally just read out, so I will not reread it again. While Bethesda has yet to comment on the now removed message, the issue has sparked a debate amongst fans over the merits of still having a copy of the game on physical media. In the meantime, fans have dug up tweets from Bethesda's official support account for Spain, which states the opposite, and that the game's standard version does indeed have a disc, while the Constellation Edition has a code engraved on a collector's item. That's cool. However, your collector's item will have a stupid code on it that you'll never be able to get rid of, which I don't know. That seems a bit bizarre to me, but kind of cool at the same time, I suppose. We've contacted Bethesda for clarification on what the situation with the copies is here, and we'll update when we hear back. They've got some FTC stuff at the bottom there that we're not going to get into today. We've been over it a million times over here, so we'll wait to see more of that stuff as and when it comes through. But for me, I hope to God that we still get physical editions of games. I love a good physical collection of games. As you can see behind me here, this is just a fraction of what I've got. I genuinely have no room in here to be able to put my full game collection. Not that it means an absolute... It doesn't mean everything to me having a physical collection of video games. A lot of these games aren't necessarily the latest and greatest games. There is obviously a few games that have come out that I'd much rather have the physical version than just a code. I feel like just having just a code is great if you want to be able to download it anywhere, so I can go to work, I can load up the PlayStation 5, download whatever game it is that I've got on my account, and I'm good to go. Having a physical edition obviously means carrying it around. But for someone like me who moves around, digital is absolutely fantastic. Appreciate that. However, a lot of the games I have on here are nostalgia-driven games that I've grown up with, that I've come to absolutely love and adore over the last, how old am I now, 32, I don't know, 27, 28 years that I've been on this earth. Whether or not they have nostalgia reasons for playing with my granddad, playing with my sister, playing with my friends, playing old school Pro Evos on couches or whatever it is, that's what most of my games on the shelf are here. However, when it comes to collector's editions of games, I'm okay. I'm okay with having a code in there. But if you're having a physical collection and you open the fucking case up and it's got a code in there, that is where I draw the line, because you've gone to the trouble of having the case. The digital world give you the option of not leaving your chair and having it downloaded onto your console over whatever internet speed you've got, or a physical version where you have the disc and you have to get up and put the disc in. That should cost more money than having the non-physical edition, right? Because there's no distribution fees, there is no transport fees, there is no handling fees, there is no storage fees, there is no shelf space, shelf saving fees. All of that stuff has been made redundant because you have a physical copy. You have a digital copy. The digital copy always is worth more unless it's in a sale, annoyingly. So the fact that they've gone to the trouble of potentially putting a copy of the game in, you open it up thinking you've got a physical edition, and there's a fucking piece of paper in there with a code in it. That is where I draw the line. I am not having that stupid fucking idea. I hope to God that they either just take the box out and give you a digital code in there, like we've had PGA ones in the past, where it has just got a card in the front of it. You flip it over, it's got the code on there. Bosh, jobs are good. And I would have much preferred to have a physical version on it, because eventually I just go out and buy the physical version anyway, just to be able to put on my shelf, because it's a game I adore. So yeah, you've got one of two things. Just put the card in there with the code on, or at least go to the effort of you're buying a physical edition, put the game in there with the case. Jobs are good, and everybody wins in that instance. I don't understand this stupid decision. I don't understand it. Dave says it doesn't have a disc. Is it actually a physical? Then that is exactly where I'm going with it. Like, just because it says physical, do you mean that you're going to have some stuff in there, like a t-shirt or something like that? Or are we talking about physical in the grand scheme of things when it comes to video games? You have a digital or physical. There's no grey area within that. That has been the case for maybe the last 10 to 12 years, where that's the terminology used across the word physical or digital. Like, it's not a difficult thing to try and get their heads around. So the concept of having a physical collector's edition and not having the physical item in there is exhausting. It's exhausting. Graham says physical edition without a physical disc is just a digital edition that's bundled with merch. Correct. Imagine putting that as your URL on a website or something like that and having to explain it. Imagine how stupid you must sound having to explain what a physical edition is. It's a physical edition that has a load of physical items in there, but doesn't have a physical disc for you to be able to play. Like Graham said, in layman's terms, it's literally a physical edition without a physical disc. It's digital edition with some merch. Don't understand it. I'm glad that they potentially realized that this could have been someone who hasn't any idea and just thought, I'm a support guy, type. And the repercussions and ripples that this has had across the video game landscape, including myself, it's made my piss boil way above boiling temperature with news like this, especially when something as close to me as physical games is. It's a non-runner, like me, non-runner. But anyway, let's move on to something that might potentially give me a bit more zen, bring my temperature down a little bit. It's some more news about Elder Scrolls. 6 fucking years! I'm only joking. I already knew that. Written on Eurogamer by Vikki Blake. She goes on to say that the Elder Scrolls 6 is still 5 years away. It's so far out, it's hard to understand what the platforms will even be. Understandable. So, the Elder Scrolls 6 is unlikely to release for at least 5 years. That's according to Xbox boss Phil Spencer, who had recently confirmed that the latest installment of the highly anticipated RPG series is still 5+ years away. As reported by Axis, Stefan Totilo, nailed it. At least the third time, who has been live tweeting the outcomes from day 2 of the US Antitrust Agency, the Federal FTC Commission, Microsoft court case of all yesterday. Spencer was asked a lot about how Microsoft decides to platform exclusivity, with most of its questioning framed around Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax. When questioned directly about Elder Scrolls 6, Spencer reportedly said he didn't even know which Microsoft platforms it'd be on, adding, "It's so far out, it's hard to understand what the platforms will even be." And there's the said tweets in the middle of the article there. Again, if you're watching this on demand, you're able to see it if you're listening. And we're talking about a game that's 5+ years away, Spencer reportedly said. Totilo. Nailed it again. Added that Xbox boss was fuzzy on whether it had previously been made a public statement saying it'd be an Xbox-only game. According to the gamer, Spencer also confirmed that Elder Scrolls 6 will be developed by the same team that is finishing Starfield. When asked how the Megacorp selects platforms for its first-party games, Spencer said it was done on a case-by-case basis, and when it came to PC and Xbox, with other platforms decided after. Microsoft is currently set to appeal the CMA's surprise decision with the UK's Competition Appeal Tribunal in a hearing expected to take place in July. The FTC isn't due to hold its own internal hearing and the acquisition until the 2nd of August. The injunction is intended to block Microsoft from finalising the deal ahead of that time, but Microsoft has indicated that it could walk away from the acquisition if the FTC's injunction is actually granted. Microsoft recently said that it had lost the console wars in court papers filed ahead of its legal battle with the FTC. Quick swig of my drink. Uno secondo. Oh, I thought it was juice. It's just water. What a letdown. Anyway, so this is night and day for me. I mean, the game that is so far beyond the horizon, with the likes of Starfield coming way before then, they're still going to have to take 2 or 3 years after that to support the game in whatever kind of DLC it might have, gameplay fixes. We know it's going to need tweaks. We know it's going to need fixes. Surely none of us are oblivious to this at this moment in time. So the fact that this is going to be 5 years away makes absolute sense. It's annoying with the fact that that Skyrim was the last mainline, timelined Elder Scrolls game that there was out there, and it's now 10 years old, if not older. Highly annoying. I think it's 11 years the game's been out now. So highly annoying that it's going to be a 15, 16 years in between games. But I'm super looking forward to it. I'm more than patient to be able to get the kind of Elder Scrolls experience that we're going to get. And like you said, we don't know whether or not we're going to get a PlayStation 6 before then. We don't know whether or not we're going to get whatever wacky name Xbox decides to slap on the consoles this time. So they're probably right not to mention what platforms it's going to be on. I'm guessing it's going to be on some form of Xbox console with a view to potentially having it for 12 months exclusive, maybe even 2 years, maybe not at all moving over to PlayStation. Because why should they? I mean, it would make more sense. We've been over this a million times, despite the fact that Xbox own the rights to Bethesda games now. The fact that there is I think, yeah, I don't know if it's still 3-1, so don't hold me to that. But as of, we'll say, 12 months ago, the PlayStation was outselling the Xbox Series X and S 3-1. I don't know whether or not that's still the case now, but that's a fuckload of money that's going to waste if they don't license your Xbox launcher on Steam, maybe Epic Game Store, Xbox consoles, and then might be a PC, might be Nintendo, whatever console it is later down the line as well, like we saw with the likes of Skyrim being put on that and Elder Scrolls Blades. Not going to talk much about that. But yeah, it does make sense that they're not really going to state when it's going to be, whether or not it's going to be console exclusive, because if you're 5 years away, you're not even thinking about that. You're just making sure that what you have foundation-wise, whether or not it's a writing, whether or not it's the voice actors, whether or not it's your character, I want to say color it in, but that isn't the word that we're looking for. That your art style of the characters is what you'd come to expect from a Bethesda game, what the world is going to look like, what monsters are going to be available, what the magic looks like. All of this stuff come way before the exclusivity stuff. You're looking at maybe exclusivity, if you're lucky, 2 years before the launch of the game, because ultimately, when it comes down to funding the game, you want your distributor, your publisher, whoever it might be, to obviously foot the bill for that. So if you're lucky, probably 2 years, if not before that. I don't usually think it comes into consideration when starting the game, especially if you are like a third-party company. Obviously, you're not a first party, so there's not really much to talk about in that case. But whether or not it comes down to console exclusivity and leasing out the license for that game, we can wait for that. We can park it. So I'm not mad at this. I believe that this is the right thing to be talking about at this moment in time. Because again, we don't know what consoles we're going to get. We're definitely going to get a new Nintendo before then. We're going to get at least 2 more iterations of what an Xbox and a PlayStation is going to look like. Whether or not it's a smaller version with the PlayStation, like a PlayStation 5 Slim. Whether or not we're going to be getting an even smaller version of what the Xbox Series S is, but maybe a little bit more powerful. Like a proper in-between machine. We're not too sure. We've got a long way to go before we understand what those are going to look like. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's episode of The Scoop. I do very much appreciate all of you coming by, listening to this on podcast services, or just watching us during the stream itself. Do stick around, though. We're going to send you over to one of our friends who is currently streaming. So go over and say a big old hello to them. We'll be back tomorrow live from the Ice Cream Upload Studio in Pultonley Filed. But until then, there's 2 things that we want you to do. First of all, it's not Stay Frosted just yet. Sit back down. Turn me back up again. If you want to help shape the 4 remaining shows this week, there's 2 ways you can do so. First of all, find us on social medias is at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or alternatively, get involved with our Discord. If you're watching this on any of our on-demand services, go to the description below. All the URLs that you need will be listed there below, but all we need from you is a URL plus your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be definitely not at 10 a.m. tomorrow, because I know I've already got calls in and I know I've got a report to get done. So it will be at some point in the afternoon, whenever that may be. So there's best way, follow the channel, get involved with all of our socials. You'll be able to get notified when we do go live. But as always, guys, there is one thing that we want you to do above all else, and that, my friends, is stay frosty.